Drive through Denton County today, surrounded by modern industry and endless concrete. But hidden just off these busy highways sits the occasional pioneer cemetery. These scattered graves belong to the founders of thriving 19th century towns, complete with schools, hotels, and main streets. So how did entire established municipalities completely vanish from such a heavily developed landscape? This map shows the boundaries of the Peters Colony. Approved in 1841 by the Republic of Texas, it was an ambitious land grant designed to draw Anglo-European settlers into the untamed frontier by offering massive free tracts of acreage. The families who accepted that offer faced a brutal reality. Arriving on the rolling prairie, they had to build their communities entirely from scratch. Their physical survival depended entirely on access to natural water sources and their proximity to the great cattle trails. By the late 1840s, the first cabins were rising along the creek beds. These pioneers were betting everything on the landscape, believing that if they could break the prairie and establish their own local markets, the towns they built would stand forever. Founded around 1850 along Elizabeth Creek, Elizabethtown quickly capitalized on the local geography. It positioned itself as a vital supply station for cowboys, driving massive herds of cattle northward to the markets in Kansas. By examining the deed records and historical surveys of the era, we can see how rapidly the local economy expanded. The influx of cattle money attracted a diverse wave of settlers, filling Elizabethtown with skilled tradespeople like wagon makers, blacksmiths, and merchants, alongside schools and multiple churches. The town even earned a colorful local nickname, Bugtown. According to local lore, during a highly attended church camp meeting, the lanterns attracted a swarm of insects so dense and aggressive that the preacher had to completely abandon his sermon. Despite the insects, Elizabethtown represented the absolute peak of early frontier success. The founders had successfully mastered their harsh environment by tapping directly into the booming cattle trail economy. A few miles to the northwest, along the Denton Creek settlement, the frontier economy relied on agriculture rather than livestock. Here, the isolated rural community of Drop emerged as a thriving wheat-producing hub. The residents initially petitioned the federal government to name their post office Dewdrop. When postal authorities rejected the application because another Texas town had already claimed it, the locals simply dropped the first three letters and settled on Drop. Nearby, a third settlement took root in the late 1850s. The founders named it Stony, a direct reference to the rock-solid soil they had to break apart to build their homes. The difficult terrain didn't stop them. The residents of Stony erected a mill, a cotton gin, 2 schools, and 4 churches. They built sturdy structures using the local stone and timber, leaving behind a physical architectural legacy that still stands on the prairie today. By the 1870s, Elizabethtown, Drop, and Stony formed the commercial and agrarian bedrock of western Denton County. With growing populations and functioning main streets, they appeared destined for long-term prosperity. In 1881, the sound of steam whistles and rhythmic hammers reached the western edge of Denton County. The Texas and Pacific Railway was finally laying iron track across the plains, an event that would determine which frontier outposts would survive into the next century. This animated map tracks the geographical reality of the railway's path. The engineers laid the tracks in a straight line that bypassed the center of Elizabethtown by a mere 2 miles to the east. That 2-mile gap pulled the commercial gravity of the region away. Elizabethtown's 1880 tax roll entry was its last. On August 2, 1881, its post office closed forever, only to reopen the very next day in the new railroad town of Roanoke. Drop and Stony suffered the same fate. As new rail lines entered nearby Justin and Ponder, regional shipping and commerce instantly centralized around the train depots, leaving the older, isolated farming communities with no way to get their goods to market. On the late 19th century frontier, the intense labor and determination of a town's founders meant little. Proximity to the steel rails of the locomotive acted as the absolute dictator of municipal survival. Today, the dust from that mass exodus has long settled, leaving only a few quiet markers behind. The scattered, fossil-encrusted ruins of Old Stony and the quiet swimming holes near Drop, alongside the isolated Elizabeth Cemetery, serve as the final physical anchors of these once vibrant communities. These plots now act as silent, open-air archives. The weathered gravestones provide the last remaining records of the merchants, farmers, and cowboys who built the frontier from the dirt up. These Denton County ghost towns serve as a haunting reminder of the cost of progress. They are monuments to the vibrant communities that were ruthlessly sacrificed the moment technology laid a faster path to the future.